Hello, it is Molly with this month's supplemental Herbal Ally video for August. And I do want to mention that I have a bonus resource coming up for members of the Goddess Magic Mystery School that is also centered on these rituals of returning allies for August. And so that's kind of a fun thing that I have come up with, and that is coming up for members of the Goddess Magic Mystery School on Sunday, and then there is an ongoing series that is going to unfold every Sunday to take us deeper into our work with the allies of August. So Pele, Honeybee, Oats, and Yarrow are what we are working with, and then I have a new video series that is exclusively for patrons that is diving deeper into each of those allies with a ritual practice and prompts and things to explore for each week as August unfolds, and that will happen those will be scheduled for Sundays over there. Anyway, that's goddessmagicmysteryschool.com. Anyway, on with today's video, and I have my honey from our August kit, my Pele, my little dish of yarrow with my acorn that I've been adding an Herbal Ally to each month this year, or each month this year. And then I've got my Pele coaster. This was a slightly divine imperfection, but the wood it's natural wood, and sometimes it has stripes in it. It's acacia wood. And so I am using all those things to support today's ritual. So we're actually going to go ahead and start with the Pele card from the Goddess Oracle by Sophia Marashinsky. I'm actually using a little meditation that goes with this in one of those supplemental videos that I mentioned earlier. I just love this card. Look at this Pele and how integrated she is with that volcanic fire. So this oracle deck has Pele as associated with awakening, which I really like. So a question to consider this month might be, what is awakening for you? One of the affirmations from last week was, I release anything that restrains my elemental fire. So after you release what restrains your elemental fire, what is awakening for you? What is awakening? And so a little reading from this book by Amy. I surge, I pulse, I throb, I am never still. I am perpetual vibration, a rhythmic beat, the constant hum that you hear. I am always moving, way down in the deeps, with fiery vitality in places you can only feel when necessary, with dramatic, fierce volcanic eruptions. I wake you up with lava and fire. I say, pay attention. So Pele, as we know, is the volcano goddess of the Polynesian peoples of Hawaii. According to legend, she appears to people as a beautiful and mysterious young woman just before her volcano is about to erupt, or as a gnarled old woman who lights a cigarette with a snap of her fingers. Although her priestesses, the queens of Hawaii, were converted to Christianity, forcibly might I add, in many cases, when Mauna Loa erupted in 1880, Princess Kilikolani recited the old chants, gave offerings of silk cloth, and poured brandy into the bubbling lava, and Pele, thus appeased, grew calm. So Pele's appearance signals a need for awakening. Have you been sitting still for too long? Have you been lulled into sleep by the evenness in your life? Has reality been too slippery to grasp? Get ready to awaken your awareness and come into full consciousness. Now is the time to see things as they really are, to initiate change so things can be as you want them to be. Now is the time to wake up to your potential and power, to move and shake. So an affirmation might be, I wake up to my potential and power. I see things as they really are. I awaken my awareness and come into full consciousness. Pay attention. I pay attention. That is, I say often that paying attention is a powerful magic, and it's a powerful spell. Pay attention to all that life is telling you. Pele says that when you nurture awakening, your life becomes creative rather than reactive, an infinitely more powerful place to be. And I'm just going to offer a little social commentary here, which is that the present day culture, particularly of social media, encourages reactivity rather than creativity. And when we reroute, when we awaken with Pele and we reroute into our lives as creative places instead of reactive places, that's an infinitely more powerful place to be. It is also really challenging, and it is a practice, a promise, a prayer to collect your splintered attention, to call your power back, to call your attention back, and to reroute your attention in where you are instead of letting it fragment in a zillion different directions. And rerouting that attention, calling your attention back to center, helps you to become creative rather than reactive, to focus on what you are creating instead of reacting to all the constant outrages and injustices and everything that's splintering your attention. So outrage and injustice still needs attention, but from a centered place of creation and wholeness, and not of just react. And then that, because that induces kind of a type of apathy and inertia when you are constantly assaulted with things to react to. And then the little ritual from here I included as a separate meditation, but it basically, you take in that sensation of drawing up the volcanic energy from Pele and letting it move through you, radiate through you, and then radiate into your body and up through the top of your head where it erupts and pours down the surface of your skin, energizing, renewing, warming, and revitalizing you as you awaken. And so that is our Pele card. And then you've probably been wondering and waiting for more information about Honeybee and about Oats. So we're actually going to move over to Honeybee next. And I mentioned the rituals of returning things. That's a special edition with prompts. I do also have our August handbook, which doesn't have the prompts or like the daily workbook kind of format. Instead, it's just an overview of the month, and you can still do some art journaling in it. You can still, there's ritual suggestions, there's readings, there's a little space to glue your own things in, etc. But it isn't structured in kind of a daily prompt way, and this one is more structured in the daily prompt way. So I did want to mention that as well, and it has more about oats particularly in it. Okay, so let's move on over to Honeybee. See what Maia has to say over here. I just love these books. I think next year I'm going to use the Wild Wisdom Companion for these videos, but I do really enjoy the pairing of all of these, the animal, the crystal, and the herb for this year has been really fun. So Honeybee flies a zigzag path, searching for patches of pollen. When she finds one, she flies home to the hive where she dances to let the others know the pollen's location. Oh, I forgot to see that. Navigate by the sun is the message here. Oops, if I can get it in focus. Navigate by the sun. Honeybee is efficient at this aerial charade, showing with her body the exact angle that sun hits the pollen patch. If you remember from this spring, I talked about the path of pollen possibility and walking a pollen path. So maybe a chance this month to review the notion of walking a pollen path. Her sisters triangulate the location so they can join the feast. Bee's internal compass is incredibly accurate. She can find the sun even on a cloudy day. The sun has traditionally represented expansive, moving energies, our passions, and our abilities to make those passions manifest in the world. When life is feeling cloudy and dull, call on Honeybee to help you navigate toward joy. So an affirmation might be, I navigate toward joy. During dark times, she reminds you that clouds pass and your passion and purpose will be revealed again. So honeybees, a creature of sunlight, reminds us of the importance of following the sun, feeling into its rhythm, remembering the cycle of the seasons. As we move between the solstices, the angle of the sun changes, and honeybee knows this instinctively. Dedicate some time yourself to following the sun, to get yourself deeply aligned with your inner compass. An affirmation could be, I am aligned with my inner compass, or I align myself with my inner compass. Note where on the horizon the sun rises and where it sets. This is a beautiful way to begin and end your days, reminding reminding yourself that you too are a child of the sun and earth. My husband and I walk every morning and every evening, and that is something that you can watch the sun move along as the sun sets every night. You can watch it move across the horizon, and where it is in the woods and across the field changes so dramatically in the course of a year. And it's only by daily checking in that we even, know that or tap into that or see that or witness that rhythm of the sun. And so if you're able, at a midday moment with the sun, without looking directly at it, notice how high it is in the sky. You can use a tree as a measuring rod, noting how high or low the sun sits at various times of the year. If you track your observations in your calendar or datebook, you'll begin to understand the cycles and rhythms of the sun's motions. And here's a quote from Louisa May Alcott. "Far away, there in the sunshine, are my highest aspirations. I may not reach them, but I can look up and see their beauty, believe in them, and try to follow where they lead." So an affirmation might be, is I follow the lead of my highest aspirations. I follow the lead of my highest aspirations. So, Honeybee lessons. Here's some questions from Honeybee. 2.5 million years ago, our ancestors' brains suddenly grew exponentially. The human brain uses an incredible amount of glucose, which as honey as a food source provides. Some even say that honeybee is a key player in our own human evolution. Isn't it interesting that it's our big brains that cause us to overanalyze and ruminate, which are two things most likely to put out our fire and dampen our passion, overanalyzing and ruminating. So a question to consider is, do you overthink things and put out your inner flame? It's definitely possible to overthink things and put out your inner flame. Honeybee creates a surplus of honey, her own liquid sunshine, to get her and her hive through the winter months. How can you, like Honeybee, store some of life's liquid gold so you have a little sunshine when you need it? You can store a little sunshine so you have it when you need it. Made of interlocking hexagons that bees build cooperatively and efficiently, a beehive is a highly organized place. There is a nursery for little ones and rooms where worker bees pack pollen and nectar into cells and then cap the cells with wax. Where does your life need a little extra organization, and how can you draw upon the wisdom of the hive? Okay, so then finally, we're at Oats, our supplemental ally here, the Madre of Water from the Herbcrafter's Tarot by Letitia Guthrie and Joanna Powell Colbert. Just love the art in this deck so very much, and I just find it I just love it. I just absolutely love it. Okay, I also like the Gaian Tarot too. So Oats. Let the Mother of Water soothe your soul. Release your anxiety by nourishing your body and spirit. Open your heart and let your intuition flow. So an affirmation might be, I open my heart and let my intuition flow. I nourish my body and spirit. And so the Madre of Water is a master or mistress of self-care. She's kind and gracious to others because she's kind and gracious to herself. So you might have an affirmation, I'm kind and gracious to myself. As oat straw replenishes the land, she takes time to rest. By doing so, she inspires others to do the same. She plants oats in the garden each year to replenish and fortify the soil. She feels full and complete after a day of good work. She understands the power of oat straw and delights in the calming medicine it provides. She knows healing takes time, and she has faith in her daily cup of tea. That was one of the other elements from the ritual kit this month, as I sent an oat straw tea bag, which actually is really, my kids didn't like it, but I think it's got that, kind of grassy quality that does feel soothing. Just as oats soothe frazzled emotions, the Madre of Water transforms tension into healing. So affirmation might be, I transform tension into healing. Embrace your emotions. They expand your capacity for compassion. So another affirmation might be, I embrace my emotions. So some ideas: crafting with the Madre of Water. Drink oat straw infusion every day for emotional nourishment. Take an oatmeal bath to nourish the body. Feed oat seeds to squirrels or chickens, or grow them in your garden to nourish the earth. And another thing is, you can also eat an oatmeal cookie, or you can bake bannocks, or eat oat-based bread or muffins, and that can be a way of actually drawing the lessons of oat into you. And so that is what I have to share with our supplemental allies for the month. So may you listen to the wisdom of the hive. May you navigate by the sun and by your own joy. May you nourish yourself, and may you let your fiery feelings flow. Thanks so much for being here. Keep living your magic, everybody. Bye-bye.